welcome to the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Dakmo Aruadre. Today on the program, we'll be talking about Ondo State as the Court of Appeal sacks Jimoh Ibrahim from contesting Saturday's governorship election. I'll be joined by Dikbo Olayoku, Lekon Shote, and Babajide Kolade Ochitoju. We'll help you make sense of every bit of the story. Journalist Hangout starts now. The Court of Appeal has killed and buried Jimoh Ibrahim's dream of running for the office of the governor of Ondo State on the ticket of the People's Democratic Party this Saturday. The court ruled that the process that brought him into the fray was fraudulent. It declared Itayo Jegede of the McCarthy faction of the party as the legitimate candidate and asked he should contest the Saturday's governorship poll. This is victory for Governor Olusegun Mimiko, who is bent on installing his protege as his successor, but a big destabilizer to the Ali Modu Sheriff's camp. Will Jegede's emergence change the dynamics? And this is the same question I'll be asking this gentleman today. Thank you once again, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yet another landmark judgment. What's your impression about this judgment?
Well, I think that the judiciary did well not to allow itself to be used by desperate politicians to muddle the political waters of Ondo State. You could see from the beginning, that Jimoh Ibrahim had nothing at stake. All he wanted to do was just stop someone from contesting. And he went about it in a very irresponsible manner, accusing judges of being bribed without proof. Asking that the duly constituted appeal court panels be disbanded for no justifiable reason. All he wanted to do was just stop Mimiko's boy, in inverted commas, from contesting. But if you really believe in your powers and your abilities as a politician, as a contestant, you shouldn't be scared of someone contesting against you. It's just like in football when people say, Fergie time, they gave them 5 extra minutes, 10 extra minutes at the end of regulation time. If you are a strong team, the added time is available to both teams.
Yes, to your advantage.
Yes. So all they wanted to, the game plan, they never had a case from the beginning. The game plan was stop these people from contesting. And when the handwriting was clearly on the wall, when the writing was on the wall yesterday, that the appeal court will go ahead to give that judgment, you could see that they became demoralized when the Supreme Court gave that judgment. And quite a good number of them stayed away from the court today.
So you think Jimoh is just a spoiler? It's not as if he was aiming to win.
Did you ever read that Jimoh went somewhere to campaign? Jimoh was not campaigning. No posters. I was in Akure now. You are aware that
Yes.
I traveled to Akure some weeks back.
Yes.
Jimoh had no presence on the streets of Akure and in the hearts of the people. All he wanted to do was just play that spoiler. Yes, the PDP had their crisis. But at the end of the day, the primacy of our law is what concerns people like us. Because today, it is Jegede that is the victim. It could be someone else tomorrow. And you have no right, just as the justices affirmed, to go ahead and give judgment without hearing from the other party. You have no right. That's exactly what Abang did. Abang did not give fair hearing to the other side. So there's no way that kind of judgment can stand.
Okay, let me take it to you. People will say Abang again. We'll come to Abang, but let's take a look at this judgment. For me, I said another landmark judgment. What is it to you?
If you have watched the political terrain right from when this debate started, you will have known where the pendulum of victory will swing. I posted as early as Saturday when some people were jubilating that Jegede, as at that time, was completely out of the race.
Or they were protesting, okay, jubilating.
Yes, that Jegede was completely out of the race. I said, well, Supreme Court said they were going to hear these people's issue on Tuesday. And I knew, because of the urgency of this, what we have on our hands, that Supreme Court was going to give judgment on that Tuesday. And the tendency is that the moment Supreme Court gives these people the go-ahead to give their judgment, latest by today, they will give their ruling. And if you have followed the proceedings right from the beginning, when Justice Sankey's special panel was in place, and when facts and matter figures were being presented, you will know that there was no way Jimoh Ibrahim would have won that case at the Court of Appeal. And the lawyers to Jimoh Ibrahim saw this one clearly. That was why they were using delaying tactics to make sure that the election holds before the matter is finally dispensed with. Because Jimoh Ibrahim was never interested in becoming the governor of Ondo State. But it's a game of tit for tat, as we used to say when we were small.
So you think it's just a spoiler also?
Not you are the one calling it a spoiler. It's a case of, okay, this guy do me, I do you. This guy did this to me. And that was...
target is Memeko.
Just Memeko.
So that's exactly. So it was not only, it's not only Jimoh Ibrahim that would have used everything humanly possible to make sure that Memeko does not install his boy as for governors usually do. There are so many of them that, in anger, left PDP when Memeko staged a return. And these people will have given anything, whatever it takes, to make sure that Memeko does not... But I think the lesson that we should begin to learn is there was no need for the PDP Memeko faction threatening to bring down the roof or the heaven. If they had done the right thing at the right time. There was a matter before a judge. You guys were aware. You didn't go. A ruling was given. You did not bother to appeal the ruling until I was asking the lawyer that what the Court of Appeal did by granting them leave to appeal after 90 days, he said it is only another. If only you can give genuine reason. Because what the judgment says, what the law says is that after 90 days, if you don't appeal, you have forfeited the benefit or the right to appeal. But if you're able to tell the court, give them genuine reason why you did not appeal. And that was Jegede was. And you know, at occasions like this, judgment at times is beyond the law. Judgment takes into consideration the mood of the environment. Because let me tell you one thing, we might have the whole of the Nigerian army in Ondo State, or any other place for that matter. If that judgment has gone otherwise, only God knows who will have stopped, what will have been the repercussion. So at times, judgment itself looks at the mood of the environment. People. So judgment at times go beyond the law. Okay. It's like that is the social aspect of law, and that is what has happened.
So maybe that's the common sense judgment. Let me take it to you. Did you see this coming at all?
Did I see this coming? Well, I don't know how to quite, because I was thinking to myself, the Jegede is the candidate of the McCarthy faction. And I was looking at the constitution of the PDP. It doesn't have room for caretaker committee. However, it does say that the National Convention is the supreme organ of the party. And it was that convention that appointed the McCarthy committee. So I thought to myself that, okay, maybe you could say that was like necessity of, how did we do it when? Doctrine of necessity. So that holds right there. And then I was worried that the McCarthy faction kept saying that the election must not hold. Is it that you are not sure of your own grounds? Do you understand? And then until yesterday, when Jimoh Ibrahim's lawyer, I like to say, there was something we used to say when we were in school. You say if you cannot
beat them,
baffle them with brilliance, if you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit. The man took bullshit and they gave it back to him. And I think, like everybody has said, I think the man is just a joker. Even when you even listen to him talk, is that electioneering? Is that campaign? I don't think so. He seems to be talking from a remote part of his heart against somebody that he has not quite openly identified. It seems to me that it is not a campaign to win election, but to get even with somebody who understands his communication.
So a campaign of calumny.
It's something like that. He's getting his information. He's not campaigning. He's talking to somebody. That's the way I saw. And I said, this man doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But I'm worried about one thing, that are we getting to a point now? Because let's just look at the APC right now. Akeredolu is the
candidate.
The Abraham is also talking.
Yes.
The court was supposed to have sat this morning, but I understand the judge is ill or something. It's beginning to look to me as if at the end of the day, we will waste so much money on logistics, electioneering, campaigning, and the rest of it. And then at the end of the day, it is the judiciary that's going to appoint the governors for us. And that is worrisome.
That's been a recurring
it's worrisome to me.
And you mentioned the judiciary. And that's talking about the judiciary again, because you mentioned Justice Okonabang. Is here again? Because we'll take a break. When we'll come back, we'll definitely talk about that. And that will be right after this break. Don't go anywhere, please. So welcome back. You're still watching Journalist Hangout. And I did interrupt Jide before I went to that break. And the question is, people will ask, Okonabang again, Justice Okonabang again, because the judges were so hard on the gentleman this time around. Why do you think they were so hard on him?
Yeah, because Justice Abang is constantly in the news for the wrong reasons. And I don't think that everyone who complains about Justice Abang doesn't know what he's saying. Justice Abang continues to come across to even his colleagues on the bench as someone who does so much damage to law itself, to the law itself. When we had that judgment, the Ikpeazu judgment, yes. Abang said that Ikpeazu shouldn't have appealed, taking his appeal before a different court, that should have come to him. And I'm like, you gave a judgment that does not favor me.
How come you
and you are saying that it is me, it is you that I should have come to appeal. So when the matter got to appeal, listen to what the judges said about him. After reading through the judgment several times, I was amazed at how the trial judge arrived at his conclusion of forgery against the appellant when there was no evidence of forgery. To say the least, his findings are ridiculous. That's how Justice Ogunwumeju described Abang. She now said Abang embarked on a wild goose chase when he attempted to help the plaintiff. Can you imagine? These are very serious words being used. With respect, we disagree with him in this conclusion because it is the person that makes allegation of falsehood that must prove it. From whatever angle one looks at the judgment of the trial judge, the decision of his court was grossly erroneous. The inadequacies of the tax receipt cannot be visited on Ikpeazu, who scored the highest votes in the 2015 governorship election. As doing so, we amount to a rape of democracy. Now, the judges today, talking about Abang, said Justice Abang's order was a violent and attitudinal disposition to the rule of law.
Wow, those words are heavy. I cannot imagine what Donald Trump would have
if
said.
I was the one saying it, so this unlearned journalist has come again. But when your own colleagues, fellow judges, in fact, if you read what Justice Ogunwumeju said to Abang, she fell short of calling Abang a little boy in the temple of justice. Because the woman was, and the panel of judges was so terribly disappointed in Justice Abang.
And it's only a little boy that can do what he did.
A little boy who does not know the law. Anything. You don't know the law. That's how they saw.
So why do
judge, I don't know why.
Why do we still have someone like that presiding over cases?
It is up to the Chief Justice of Nigeria to decide, because this, for people who are losing hope in the judiciary, it is because of the conduct of people like Justice Abang.
Okay.
And such conduct now, if consistently,
If you continue this way,
appellate courts are coming out to do a kind of post-mortem on judgments by Abang and declaring Abang as grossly incompetent.
and judgment
It
is
says
anonymous.
so much about him. So why should you continue to assign cases to such a person? Because the outcome will be predictable.
General, because the acting CJN really supervised what really transpired in this Ondo. So I think the acting CJN should know what is happening with Justice Abang. Or what do you think?
Well,
and find a solution.
Yes, it is normal, and that is why you have the appellate court. For the appellate court at whatever level, whether at the appeal court level or Supreme Court level, to disagree with judgment passed at the lower court. It is normal. But it is, it's an irony.
But can't we just get
They
this
can
straight?
disagree, but
It
the
is
kind of words
yes,
that they are
the
using.
words they are using.
It's an irony that based on the Ikweasu judgment, some people wrote a petition against Justice Okonabank.
Yes.
And the NJC said, after looking into the petition and the facts before them, that Justice Abang acted within the evidences presented before him and to his own understanding. What we're saying in essence is that NJC at their level, because I read their report, I was wondering, I was hoping and thinking that they were going to do something. But when after reading their report, I said, okay, maybe the justices, those at the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, must have looked at the law from different perspectives. But I think what is very, very important is that there should be some sort of synergy within the judiciary. Because when it becomes a case of whatever level you get your judgment, I must get to the Supreme Court where I think there will be justice. I think that is where some of us are concerned.
And that was what Lekon was saying. Why can't we just decide who will be the governor for the next 4 years via the polls?
Election.
No. In Nigeria, that one is almost impossible.
Let me ask a rhetorical question about this judge. On the Ikweazu matter, Ikweazu was accused of forgery. Now, if you want to determine whether Ikweazu was truly guilty of forgery,
or not,
forging his tax papers, shouldn't you invite the tax body in the state to verify whether the document actually emanated
And they were
from them?
were not invited.
He didn't invite them, and he went ahead and gave judgment.
They can come to you, but right after this call. Philip is calling from Taraba. Good evening, Philip. Philip, if you hear me, just keep on talking. There's a delay, definitely. Just keep on talking.
Yes, don't start talking.
Oh,
I think it's a very long delay there. Okay, try and call back, Philip. Thank you so much. And what do you think? Because I was asking him, if you have someone like that, complaints, look at the words that were used against such person. Must that kind of person preside over a delicate matter like that, such as this Ondo? You know, Ondo, thank God everything came out
And
well.
why
He
are
could have
the
done
cases,
something else.
Why are the
let me governorship,
sheriff
let me
cases
take
why
it
are
to
they
him.
going to him?
Justice
all the
Okaban,
time?
yes.
let me just refer you to the recent arrest of judges, because that's the dimension I'm going to look at. What is the reason for Justice Abang's judgments going the way it's going? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
Considering that a Supreme Court judge had said that some people have come to him to help to do what? Change the direction of justice. You know, I may not be able to say this as make an accusation, but I'm beginning to think that there's probably something behind,
Can be investigated.
and I think it should be investigated. Yes, and I'm disappointed that the NJC didn't think. This is an administrative issue for NJC that keeps saying that we are independent and that DSS should not come and rate judges. Do you understand? Now you have the opportunity of correcting yourself. You never did. when even members of your own body indicted in such strong language.
Yes, strong language.
You know, one of you.
How can you say?
And the petition came to you, and you say you don't have any.
Yourself,
after you
that
gave a
gave the
judgment
judgment
against him.
Do you understand? So
Idris.
my attitude is, I want to look at another angle to this.
To that, okay.
Is there a motive?
Yeah, towards all this.
Yeah.
Philip, you calling from Lagos, right? Good evening. Idris. How are you, Idris?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Please, concerning Ondo gubernatorial election, I want to confirm if Jimoh Ibrahim can go for the Supreme Court.
Okay, I'll take you out to Jide.
Supreme Court now.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. You want to, because
He can.
already.
He
Okay.
can.
He can appeal because the appeal court is not a final court. But they run out of time already.
The process will take.
They run out of time.
No, it's still a pre-election material matter. They can continue even after the election.
Yeah, but the election will,
They
the
run out of
election
time.
will-
Election
So
will
if
hold.
Supreme Court okays him and PDP wins, that means he becomes the PDP the governor.
Before we go into the politics itself, let's finish about this court.
No, but he
thing.
can't be PDP governor without taking part in the
election.
That law has since been amended. What
After
happens-
Omeya and
no, yeah,
and
Amechi.
Amechi.
Nobody can inherit
The K-leg
yes,
factor.
without taking part in the election.
Wow.
He has to take part in an election.
Not by voting. He has to be voted
He
for.
has to be voted for.
Okay.
It has since been so. And remember that the Supreme Court said that should not be used as precedent. That's Amechi's matter then.
So you are
Should not
saying
be
if Eitayo did not participate in this Saturday election, if Jimoh Ibrahim had won, that means Eitayo cannot take over as the governor. Is that what you're saying?
No,
If-
what we are saying is that a court cannot impose someone who did not take part in an election as the governor.
Governor.
It can no longer happen.
Okay, let's talk about the implications of this judgment in the battle for the soul of PDP now. What will happen?
Yeah, what this means is that the whole equation has changed. Jegede, a couple of months back, looked like the strongest candidate in the race, and he was the most visible. And of course, you know, with the incumbent governor on his side, not the nature of Nigerian politics, it's very difficult to unseat sitting government. With the incumbent governor on his side, with the structures that they have, he is in a very, very strong position. At a point when he could no longer campaign and he was running from one court to another, you had Olusegun Olusolaoke, you know, campaigning vigorously. His rallies were being jammed by people. The momentum right now is with Olusolaoke. But the reality is with this guy, with Jegede coming back into the race, because of where he comes from Akure.
Akure.
They have not been privileged to produce a governor. And the chances are that the people will come out en masse for him on election
But
day.
the larger people, okay,
They
larger
don't
people
have
not really.
have the population
They
of
are-
Akure.
okay,
Go and
okay,
look
yeah,
at
yes, I know.
the
Registered
population.
voters.
If the people turn out en masse, it will be difficult to defeat him in an election like this.
Okay, that will take us to another short break. While we'll come back, the conversation will continue. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Journalist Hangout. And this time around, I didn't interrupt Jide to go on that break. I'll let you continue or conclude.
Yes, you know the nature of Nigerian politics. Incumbency is very, very strong. When people talk about federal might, the question I ask is, how many times have people succeeded in using federal might to unseat an incumbent? Obasanjo tried it against Tinubu here. It didn't work. It didn't work. And you'll find that most times, even security agencies that people would like, that the federal authorities would like to use, many times they end up supporting, working even for the incumbent governor. So in this case, what I'm saying, if I'm to say the truth, the candidate to beat, looking at the demographics and all that, I'm not saying it's impossible to defeat him.
Yes.
But in this race, if I'm to be honest, the candidate to beat is the candidate who has the support of the incumbent governor, and that is Jegede.
What about the one that has the support of the federal government?
Well, you can have the support of the federal government, but what you also do on election day, you see, how you get people out on election day, how you mobilize people, is what makes the difference. Donald Trump used that in the US. And it's the same thing here in Nigeria. The people who work local government chairman, at the grassroots level, the local government chairman, they install
the councillors also.
Councillors. So all these councillors, they mobilize, they use state funds, because that's what happens. They use state funds to contest elections.
But there's money in the federal also, but they don't have the machinery.
Federal will not have the local machinery. They will not have it. They will not have it. So that is what usually counts against them. So when you say federal money, people talk as if the people will just come from Abuja and they can't water. It doesn't work like that. Let me
take it to general. You know, the same people that were protesting, say last week, are back on the streets where they protested and burnt tires. Now they are happy. So I kind of imagine what they would do now. Maybe reverse the tires they burnt or whatever.
That's what I said earlier.
And that's what we're saying on the screen now.
That there was no need for those guys to have been on the streets after the judgment from, after the issue of INEC acting on the judgment of Justice Okuna Bank. And that's why, if you notice...
So it's very, very obvious that the government is even, because that's the boss of the vice deputy governor, so the government is happy.
That the governor,
they have to be.
That the governor has always since maintained that Jegede was going to contest elections.
Even Jegede himself has always maintained.
Yes, because when the matter came up and became an issue, especially with the INEC people.
Yes,
especially with the INEC people, the governor said he was going to court. And you know what the Court of Appeal did was to set up what they call special panel. It's like a task force that will hear the case, determine it before the election date. And that was why Jimoh Ibrahim and his lawyers decided to employ that delay tactics to make sure that they arrest the judgment. Unfortunately for them, Supreme Court, I knew, had the case on Tuesday and they gave the ruling.
And the judgment escaped.
So I think the governor, maybe he felt, maybe what the governor, maybe what the people of Akure that went on the streets did with that was to blackmail, I'm using the word advisedly now, was to blackmail the judiciary into acting quickly.
And apparently it worked, right?
No, the people who set up the special panel at the Court of Appeal level wanted the matter to be disposed of within Saturday.
But Jimoh Ibrahim wasn't satisfied with the fact that the accelerated hearing is not...
That's why they tried all things possible. That was why they humiliated, blackmailed the Justice Sankey's first panel, so that those people said, okay, we are throwing it to towel. And thinking that even the new panel will not sit quickly and stuff like that.
No, they even asked that this new panel
one should also be disbanded.
Yes.
So you will know that they knew right from the beginning that they have no solid case. But the only thing they wanted was... I am very sure that Jimoh Ibrahim would have been pleased if he had contested the election on Saturday, knowing fully well that he will not win. But to make sure that Jegede and Mimiko do not take part in the election. Like Jide said, if you have visited Akure in the past 2 months. About 4 or 5 months ago, if you look at the equation, if APC had been able to present that United Front that they had 5 months ago, it would have been an easy ride for them.
But now they're divided, right?
But right from the beginning, APC has been working a tightrope right from the beginning for so many reasons. And if you look at the last year election, you know, at the presidential level, because we had the presidential election and National Assembly election on the same day, APC had upper hand rather. And that's why they have 2 senators as against PDP's 1, and they have more members of House of Representatives. But by the time, 2 weeks later, when we had the governorship election, Mimiko cleared the seat, almost all the seats, just like what happened in Edo State. So what that one has shown was at that time, the people of Ondo State were pleased with what their governors have done against the backdrop of the other governors that came before him. But when the issue of people decamping to APC came, that was the really problem for him. But if they go into that election, what happened today will either play out in two ways. One, if it does not bring about voter apathy, people that have resigned themselves to, oh, Jagede is not contesting, I'm not going to vote. If it does not result to that, it's going to be easy for them. Okay. On the other hand, it could even spell what some people call sympathy vote. Because since this matter came on, I know of a lot of people that didn't even bother about Jagede initially. But because of this matter, they said, no, it's like this guy has become a victim. So that victim syndrome could play.
The sympathy.
People always have sympathy for the victim.
Look, I will come to you, but please let me quickly take our correspondent from Akure, political correspondent, Ayodele Ozubaku. Ayo, good evening.
Good evening, Dapo.
How's it going over there after that judgment? How's the mood of the people?
It's jubilation everywhere in Akure, and because of the news, knowing that Eita Ejekede is from Akure, so it's a natural thing that a lot of the people here, especially the indigents, that they want one of their own. Especially this is going to be the first time that somebody will be coming from Akure like that to throw his hat in the ring. So it's natural. The whole place, traffic, hold up, jubilation everywhere, and they are all headed towards the airport now to go and receive Eita Jagede and Governor Mimiko. So it's the atmosphere is very, very, very lively. People are playing drums all around, and the motorcades all around, and even market women. If you go to the Obaile area, if you go to the Olukayode market, you go to the Adeshida market, everybody, you find them, everybody, they're very, very cheerful and joyous. And one thing I can pick from the whole situation, I think it's a very healthy development. Healthy development in the sense that there's going to be a level playing field now. Like everybody, just come and throw your hat in the ring, and let's see, you draw your strength. While Eita Jagede, we want to draw his support base from the Central Senatorial District. Olushola Oke, we want to draw his own support base from the Southern Senatorial District, the Riverine area, and the Owoman, the Akedolu, we want to hold the North, which is Owo and the Akoko. So it's very, very, very healthy, balanced. It's going to be a close contest next Saturday. I'm predicting that whoever is going to emerge is going to emerge with a very slim victory, because already we are working on the figures the Independent National Electoral Commission gave us, and from what we saw, if you look at what happened in 2012 and look at what will happen this one, we have very strong candidates. When I say strong, Olushola Oke, very strong, a grassroots politician. Mimiko is going to throw his structure behind Jagede, and the final president, Ruth Akedolu, is having the support of the Action All Progressive Congress, and of course, some people will say he has the support of the federal government. So it's going to be like a balance of force, and very interesting time out. You can't actually say this is what is going to happen.
Have you reached the Jimoh Brown's camp? What's their reaction? Are they protesting, or they are happy with the judgment?
I spoke with the chairman just a few minutes ago. Politicians, they are diehard optimists. They are talking about getting a stay of execution. And I now put that question to him: Why didn't Eita Jagede get a stay of execution, not to get your name into the ballot? And they are talking about appealing immediately, and they are talking about Supreme Court sitting tomorrow on this same matter. And, it brings confusion and there's so much controversy in the air. But they are telling us that what they know now is that Supreme Court, they are appealing, they are doing a stay of execution so that INEC will not tamper with the status quo, and they are appealing. And by tomorrow till Friday, they will know where they are going. That Supreme Court will have to attend to this matter. That is what the people from Jimoh Ibrahim faction they are saying.
A lot definitely in the front of the judges now. But let me ask a simple question, and that's a question some people have been asking. The people jubilating on the screen now, weren't they the ones protesting then? And now what has changed? Are they still saying the election will be postponed, or they should go on?
I think their strategists, the people, the strategies within the Mimiko faction of the People's Democratic Party, they know that, look, they've lost some ground, that they need time because of the distraction. Yes, Eita Jagede started out early. He was able to tour the local government and did one or two things. But it is what you do as yesterday that will be, there's no how Itaya Jagede in the next 48 hours can crisscross 18 local governments. It's not possible.
But I heard some people even run this, campaign into the night. Like yesterday, I heard some candidates were out there. Can't you do that within?
That's the symbol of Olushola Okin.
Yes.
He runs all through the night.
Yes.
He runs his campaign all through the night. They don't know time. And that man, at least I saw him yesterday, and that man hardly sleep. So the bottom line is that they need to cover a lot of ground in the next 48 hours. And they're looking at, if we have to cover those grounds, it's almost impossible to cover enough ground to give us victory. That is the fear of those strategies in the camp of Governor Mimiko supporting the entire Jekede. So they are just trying to throw it to them so that if they give them 3 weeks, and politicians, they are always very, very optimistic.
Okay. Thank you, Ayo, for that wonderful information you've given us there. And stay safe there, okay? Thank you so much. We need to go on another break. When we'll come back, I will continue the discussion. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. And I'll go to you now, Lekon Shote. The question is, the last question I asked Ayo. Will Eyitayo, what's it going to do now? What do you think should be in his brain now? What is he going to do in the next 24 hours? Because he's got only tomorrow left. Yes. He cannot campaign on Friday.
Yeah, as I was listening to Ayo's conclusion, he was saying that he had a discussion with the chairman of the shall we say, Modu Sharif faction. And it appears to me that what they plan to do is, as much as possible, cause distractions.
Just throw spanner.
Just throw spanner, so that if he keeps going at their tail.
A press statement has just come from the PDP. Okay. That's the mainstream PDP, which is the one headed by McCarthy. And they are saying that, yes, justice has been served, but we will seek postponement of this election. And they are saying that it will amount to injustice if the election is not postponed, because they want more time to be able to campaign and probably cover lost ground. That's
whose fault is that?
Well, everybody's fault.
Is it the fault of the system?
We hope in all sincerity that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, which was a major player in the illegal substitution of our candidate, a decision rightfully reversed today by the appeal court, we toed the line of dignity and fairness by heeding the call for the postponement of the election to enable our candidate, the people of the state, his programs for them through campaigns.
But what do you think, postponement or not?
Section 25 of the electoral law says you can only postpone election if there is possibility of breach of security.
And this is not.
The IG hasn't said so. The IG has said he has deployed 26,000 men. The civil defense has said they have deployed their men on ground, and they are not saying that anything is wrong with the security arrangement.
Even INEC says everything is good also.
Exactly. So, but I
can see. Do you think there was a big threat in Edo?
Well,
not as much as this.
By the admission of the security agencies.
Okay, they have to admit.
They're asking for 2 weeks postponement.
2
weeks.
Without work.
Initially they said 3. They're now asking for 2.
Asking for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the way I say it, it appears that they also already know the antics of the other faction, and that's why they are asking for more. That they probably derailed them, distracted them from doing as much as they would have done in terms of electioneering. Now they think they need some more time. And the law says election must be held between 60 days and 30 days before the swearing of the. I want to look at the calculation of that. If the 2-3 weeks that I'm talking about, if the new governor must be sworn in December.
I have Idris from Kano. Good evening, Idris.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening.
How are you, sir? Your contribution today?
Should I go on?
Yes, go on. You're live.
Yes, the CDC want to be prepared on this. They should not call for postponement of that election, because The people have been there in the last 8 years. That is what should speak for Eita Ejekede. They should go ahead. There's no need.
Okay. All right, that's the submission. Thank you so much, Idris. And the question is, should they postpone, prepare, as in prepare more, or get ready for court cases because the Alimodu Sheriff's faction is still going to court? So which one should they do amongst the three now? It seems everybody's confused.
It's a very dicey
I think we are concentrating
situation.
only on PDP now.
Okay,
How about APC?
That's another one.
Yeah,
That's
No,
another
but
one
in terms of whether this election holds or not, you know, the PDP had constituted a threat to the conduct of this election. From the first day. So it's difficult to ignore the threat that they constituted. The truth is, this election must go on. The PDP brought it, this whole last-minute judgment, the wahala on themselves. So they can't expect other parties to pay for the sins that they committed. So the party, the PDP, the fragmented, the fractured PDP, caused this.
They should learn and look inwards now.
So they should be the ones to suffer for it. There is no need to postpone this election. You weren't expecting that Jegede will eventually be made the candidate. Now Jegede has been made the candidate. You're asking for more. You are playing the Oliver Twist now. You know, you are now asking for 2 weeks postponement. No.
So you should not take it too far.
INEC has repeatedly said that every time that it is forced to postpone an election, that it costs it so much money.
In this time of recession,
you will now have to remobilize. You demobilize and then remobilize, and it takes time to remobilize. That's why they are saying, look, we don't like this idea of postponing election at the last minute when we are set.
Sensitive materials.
Sensitive materials had already been sent to various local governments. Right. Suddenly, you want to reverse all of those. Preparations that have been made. So it will not happen. The election must go on. What is on the ballot is the name of, is the logo of the PDP.
The party.
So whoever, even if the PDP puts a dog as their candidate, that people will vote for
the person, the PDP.
For that dog. So
Prince from Imo. Good evening, Prince.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, August. My contribution is what the attitude of this judge. So the NGP should come up quickly, take up this matter, or take up this judge. That they will not allow or give the DSS the opportunity to invade the judiciary again. You know what the DSS did last time, we all complained. We come against such a thing. It's a good move.
Okay.
So the NGP now should stand on their feet to correct themselves. By this time, they shall call this judge in order to correct him or sack him. Because you'll be handling other people's case, which they don't have the confidence in him.
Okay.
So that's my contribution.
Thank you so much, Prince. General, I'll take it to you. Dynamics have changed now. Should they just, Eita or Jegede camp, should they just go straight into maybe campaign a little bit? And maybe you were talking about the same party.
I don't think PDP has any genuine case to argue in this matter. Because, like Jide said, they brought this upon themselves. Let us look as, assuming that INEC agrees to postpone the election by 2 weeks. And within these 2 weeks, the High Court or wherever Shegun Abraham starts taking his case to, they give a ruling that is not favorable to APC. And APC will have to pursue the matter until it gets to Supreme Court. Would they now again call for the postponement of the election? And do you think INEC would not have to listen to them? You see, PDP made this thing into a very big issue right from the beginning. I recalled that after the 2015 elections, I think it was in Kogi State, I can't remember, one of the states, where an APC candidate in that election, after nullifying his election, the candidate was disqualified. I can't remember. Do you know that APC did not cry wolf, they did not accuse INEC? They went into the election, APC did not take part in that election. I remember. But when the issue of Jegede and Jimo came, PDP made it look as if it was a conspiracy from people outside the party. When it was an internal crisis that they have failed to manage since they lost election in 2015. You know what happened in Edo State? This same scenario will have played out. But they were able to use what I would call 419 in local palace to get the Alimadu Sharif faction to remain calm. That, oh, we are making effort to resolve our matter. Okay, let your candidate, let him step down for our candidate. Interestingly, after the election, they discarded with the consolidation move they were making. So maybe that was why Jimoh Ibrahim said this time around, you can't play any trick on us.
Gentlemen, we need to leave.
We
need to leave now, but we have some few seconds to go. Okay. And the question I'll be asking you now for your last take is, when are we going to stop this habit of getting thousands of policemen, military personnel, as if we're going to war? This is election, for Christ's sake. America had an election, presidential election. I never saw soldiers outside.
No, this boils down to the people. Now, Nigerians can be very, very violent. Very violent. Listen, in Nigeria, politics is bread and butter. It's your road to economic survival. A lot is involved. It's not just somebody gets into a position. It's about what I'm going to eat and the people around me, what they are going to eat. So
it's we the people that have to stop these ideas.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
That's my thinking.
Jide, your take. Last take.
I don't, you see, just as I said before the Edo election, most of the time we don't even see these so-called security personnel on election day. Most of the time they don't even do their jobs.
Because they're not meant to even come to the polling booths.
You still hear of ballot boxes being snatched. In this case now, for this election, they mobilized 26,000 policemen, sniffer dogs, horses, 20 gunboats, 300 vehicles, 12 armored personnel carriers, Hilux vehicles, 3 helicopters. For what now?
This is a war.
If we send all this to even to the northeast,
forest,
even Sheka will be scared. You know?
But we need to stop this soon. General, your last day.
It's an election now. I think that is just the level of our political awareness and the way our politicians play their politics. All these things that they have rolled out, you won't see them. And some people will collect money for their logistics. That is the game.
And it's election. We should judge her.
In America,
and not
the election has even started even before the election
before the election day. It's so unfortunate.
30 million people had voted already before November 8th.
Thank you so much.
The election is supposed to be a carnival.
BK was supposed to be a carnival, but now it's
you
changed. 3 helicopters just for one state.
12 armored personnel carriers.
20 gunboats. 26,000 policemen. It's war, is it? The civil defense. They are there. Sniffer dogs.
Man. Very soon we'll start using bombers.
That's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode of a program. And you can also watch a Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Dakpo Aruwa Joye. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.